So I was telling this guy Rob, who's been working for me, that he keeps saying like, "Oh man, that's insane," and so then I would like punch up the Cypress Hill "Insane in the Membrane" song and just like play it on Spotify. And he's like, why do you keep playing that song? And I was just like, well, because you keep saying insane, and that's what it reminds me of. And then we got into this like text message back and forth, and he was like, I can't remember what he said, but at some point I was just like, when I was in high school, I actually had a Nissan. It was like an 84 Nissan pickup, and it had a king cab. It was like a bit of a jalopy of a car, but in the king cab, me and my sister's boyfriend, my sister's high school boyfriend, was living with us at the time, and we filled up the entire king cab with a bass box with two 18-inch subwoofers and an amp.
18, geez.
And I said to Rob, the 16s weren't big enough.
Damn.
Yeah, but I thought I was fancy when I had a bass tube in my Toyota Corolla hatchback.
Bass too? The fuck is that? But I don't even heard
Yeah, I
that
don't even
shit.
think that's a thing anymore. It
No,
came
I
with a
don't know
car.
what
In a king cab though, that shit was right there.
No, it's like literally right behind your seat.
Yeah, that's fucking insane.
Yeah,
bro.
like it's kind of like a vibrating massage seat.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that's crazy, man. I remember I just had to. At one point in my career, or like my driving career, like in high school or after high school, I drove my dad's. He had a Nissan hardbody. You know what I'm talking about? Like those 2-door Nissan fucking. They don't make them no more. Obviously, hardbodies, like the steel fucking.
It's a truck?
Yeah, truck like an 89, 90, like fucking. I don't think they have a name. Like there's like the Frontier. I don't think it has a name. It was just a Nissan.
It was just a Nissan
yeah,
truck.
The hard body they call them. Anyways, I fucking drove that for a bit, and that shit was funny, bro. Because not only did I have bass, but my dad would like hella fucking Mickey Mouse shit too. So I told him, I was like, bro, you know what I want? I want some speakers in the back, in the bed. You know what I mean? So he fucking set me up with 4 speakers, and 2 of them were like back in the day. You know how you could buy home stereos?
Yeah.
Two of the fucking speakers were from a home stereo. 2 of them were like for door panels, like on the truck, but they were just, bro. I would pull up. My cousins remember this shit all the time because I would pull up. Sometimes the speaker was over there, another one was over here, but they were always working though. They were just fucking everywhere because I didn't have them like sitting down or screwed in or
like
anything.
they slid around in the bed.
Yeah, they slid around the bed. I was just fucking bumping music all the time. That shit was funny.
Okay,
bro.
so the biggest question is, when you were rolling in that thing, what song was most likely, or what CD was most likely to be on the player back then?
Oh, I don't know about.
That wouldn't have been your Good Times country music at the time,
No,
would
fuck
it?
no. I don't even listen to country right now.
No, who's that guy you listen to?
Earlier? Oh, fucking. You talk about Johnny Rodriguez?
Yes,
Yeah,
Johnny Rodriguez.
No, I didn't know
That's the
nothing about
stuff
Johnny
there.
Rodriguez back then. Yeah, no, back then, yeah, you wouldn't know. It was just, I listened to a lot of like Bay Area rappers, like gangster stuff, So fucking stuff like that, fucking Too Short, you know what I'm saying?
Excellent.
Shit like that, shit with bass, you know what I mean? And yeah, that's all I fucking. So to the Mexican music, I was like Mexican music, But like in terms of English music, it was just rap.
So I was playing Lauren a bunch of Mexican pop music from the mid '80s, and she almost left me. It was that bad.
Mexican pop music?
Yeah, because when I was in Mexico City for a couple weeks back, I think it was junior year of high school, a bunch of us went down to Mexico, and we stayed in Puerto Vallarta and Mexico City and had a great time. And
I
so
remember
we were
this story because every time I come, you bring it up.
Exactly.
It must have been a great time in his life.
It was a very special trip. Yeah, my life doesn't seem that different now, actually. But we listened to, it's actually an Argentine band, Soda Stereo, a band called Flans, and Cuando Pase el Tambor. It's about the Mexico City earthquake.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
what's
that's
the
a
name
good
of the
one.
group?
Soda Stereo.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
There's an
Argentine.
Argentinian group called Hombres G.
Oh, I've heard of them, yeah.
Man G.
Yeah, they're one of the big ones.
They got some good songs.
Yeah, they were newer, but they were great. So Soda Stereo, and then Miguel Mateos, another guy who's super popular. Cuando Seas Grande, like what are we going to do when we get bigger?
Yeah.
And then the last one was this super cheesy. It was like the Mexican Go-Go's. They were called Flans or something. Hilarious.
Nah, I never heard of those.
Yeah. Anyway, so.
And Lauren wasn't having it.
And Lauren somehow was just not on board with the mid-'80s Mexican pop, where I was literally quoting words from, how many years ago was that? 40 years ago, and I remember some of the lyrics.
Well, I mean, I was having to explain to Rob that it was, I think I graduated from high school in 1992. So it was like 1990, 92, that was like all rap was all I was listening to. And that's why I had to have 2 18-inch subwoofers.
Yeah. I mean, I was like rap.
So For those of you who hadn't noticed, this is another episode of the Bonsai Wire podcast. I'm here today with Eric Schrader and Cesar Ordoñez.
Hey.
And it sounds like Eric had the biggest speakers of everyone at one point.
Well, Cesar brought it up. He said that he was giving someone a ride and that they said he was going to go deaf. And I think that in my high school yearbook, it was like most likely to go deaf.
To be deaf by 30.
Yeah.
We wanted to talk to Cesar today to tell us about how the olive business has been going. So, what is your connection to olives?
Shit, I don't really have like a spiritual connection, but in terms of like, what do you mean by that?
So, you have, since we last talked, you pretty much have built up a full-time gig making olives available for the bonsai community, and you're collecting them, you're working on them, you're doing programs for clubs, teaching people how to grow them, and it seems you've developed quite a fondness for and facility working with the species. So, like, why olives of all the species you could be growing?
Why olives? I think for a lot of reasons. The main one is because there's olives where I'm at. You know
That's
what I'm
a good
saying?
one.
And the weather out there it ain't good for much stuff that you will basically see.
So tell us, what does a bad week look like where you live in terms of the temperatures?
A bad week, probably like 115, 113. A good week is right now.
So we're not talking quite as hot as Phoenix, but close.
Not far off, that's right.
Yeah.
And the water quality, is it decent or is it debatable?
It's pretty shitty, at least where I'm at. Well, mostly everywhere around there, everybody's on well water.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it's a desert. You know, we don't really get much rain, so it's pretty hard water. So olives don't tend to mind the hard water.
Do you get a lot of residue on the leaves from?
Yeah,
yeah,
a lot. That's what I was talking to Jonas about earlier. Yeah, it's not a huge deal, but it's kind of a big deal. Because, yeah, sometimes I gotta, like last time when I went to go do the demo, I took my time and had to clean up some leaves, you know what I mean? Took a while, but yeah, because, yeah, I do. They were getting white. I was saying, Jonas, too, sometimes when I sell some, people be hitting me up when they get the trees, like, hey, there's some kind of fungus or something.
Right, yeah.
It's just my water, my shitty-ass water, you know, but they don't mind. I mean, mostly everything I have don't mind, which is why I have it.
That's great. Is there any month of the year that, I guess you dig olives year round. Is there any time of year when you can't dig an olive where you are? Or do they all just live?
I would say no, but I tend to not want to dig like when it's super cold. But that being said, I guess last year I dug out a bunch in the winter and most of them took. But yeah, they like the heat. So I know for sure if I dig them on the heat, even if it's 115, they'll be fine. Perfectly fine.
So are olives kind of growing like weeds on these farms in your area?
Kind of, yep. Basically.
Like, so the people that own the land, they don't want them on there.
Right. So most of them are probably not even in olive groves. It's like other groves, you know what I mean? Oranges.
Or like vineyards and stuff.
Yeah, vineyards. But before then, it was olive groves at one point, you know, years ago. So they took them all out and now it's something else. But I guess, you know, roots stay there and keep on growing or something. And sometimes, yeah, I do find them in olive groves, but there's not around my area. There's actually very little olive groves, which is crazy to think. When I moved out there from Sacramento, dude, nothing but olive groves. But I didn't know nothing about bonsai either. You know what I mean? So I was just watching olive groves get fucking dug out left and right, and just this and that. And so now that I'm actually looking for them, it's rare when you see one getting taken out because there's not even any. You know what I mean? The ones that there is, I don't know. I feel like, they just have them because they've had them forever and they don't want to take them out. Because from what I hear, it's not a great market as it was before.
But it's probably, the trees are too big to use for bonsai anyway.
Oh, huge, yeah. That's it. Actually, I'm gonna just say that real quick because that's just kind of funny. When I first started digging them out, and doing for bonsai and stuff, I had a client tell me he wants this big ass olive tree. Because if you could find me this big old olive tree or a couple of them, I'll buy them all. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, fuck, big ass olive trees. I was like, I know where they got some big ass olive trees. You know what I'm saying? And if I had told my dad about it, and he's like, oh yeah, well let's go check them out. I took a couple pictures of these olive trees, sent them to the guy, and the guy's like, oh yeah, perfect. They look old, they're big, woody woo. And I'm like, okay, cool. We made a deal. You know, he wanted a couple. It was a good amount. I want to say it was maybe like 30 or 40 of them. They were just, now it was an orange, or field or orchard, whatever you want to call it. And now they just had olives in the border. So it was a border of olives that they were going to take out. And they were huge. We talking, dude, for sure. I want to say for sure 100 years old. We talking huge. Like, I can't even explain it.
Like 2-3 feet across at the base kind of thing?
Probably like 6 foot.
Oh.
4 or 5, 6 foot, okay? So that gives you a little fucking hint. Okay, so this is the funny shit. I sent the pictures to the guy. The guy's okay, perfect, woody woo. And I sent the pictures with me, like, kind of putting my hand on the fucking bases of woody woo, you know what I mean? The guy's okay, I want all of them, you know? And then he tells me, okay, I you know, we're going to get a semi truck, whatever you call it, a big old truck. He's like, and just fill up the container in the back as much as you can, right? I'm thinking, fuck, okay, like, they're big, but, you know, we'll fill them up, you know? That day, we started digging them out, and I sent him a picture because he had at his house a regular forklift. Like, how can I explain? Like I don't know, like a regular forklift that you usually see like at like factories or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the forklift we were using to dig this olives out was one of those that fucking have the 4 legs and they were, you know, on the ground, and it was this big old crane. And I sent him a picture and I just said, just to let you know, you know what I mean? You might need to rent a bigger forklift, you know? He's like, nah, I don't think I need to. I was like, okay. I sent him the picture and I told him woody woo, you know? So we started loading them up and we get 3 on there, right? We go to put the 4th and the guy tells me, the 4th is over the weight limit. And I'm like, oh shit! I'm like, so they're big. So I call them up on the, hey, you know, they're saying that we can't do more than 4. Like, it's over the. And he's like, what? Like, how is it over the weight limit? Because, you know, I guess, you know, they haul a lot. You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, I'm telling you, bro. So we couldn't do nothing else. Like, we matter of fact, we had another one. So we had dug out like 5 real quick. So by the time the 4th one went up, the 5th one was already dug, but we couldn't put it on there because of the weight. There was room barely for one more though, because they still were big, you know. But the guy said that legally he couldn't, you know, because of the weight limit, whatever. So, and it was to ship out the trees, you know what I mean? The guy didn't believe me that he needed a bigger forklift. And all I heard was the story of when the trees got there and the dude's face and the hell of a time they had to get the trees off of the semi-truck.
So were you cutting them down at all, or are you just shipping the whole tree?
The whole tree, well, at some point in their lives, they got cut down. Years ago, so it wasn't like this really, really, really tall tree. They were decent size. They're probably up to the room, you know, like
8 feet, 9 feet tall.
Yeah. So
wow.
So yeah, I would say like 8, 9, 10 feet. And it's funny because I mean, I was fresh off doing like learning about bonsai, but either way, I feel like I should have fucking thought about it. Like, bro, you know what? I don't think this is bonsai material. You know what I'm saying? Because the guy wanted him for bonsai supposedly, just some big ass olives, you know. So, yeah. What's
funny is those big olives are hugely popular for landscapes these days. And so I know I think it's the Solano County Event Center, or either Sonoma County Event Center, has a huge front entry, and it's all lined with 100-year-old olive trees on it. And there's a garden I know of nearby that they actually brought down a whole bunch of fully mature 100-year-old olives. And they're all like 5-6 feet around at the base, these amazing giant things. So olives naturally give us that character we look for in bonsai. The trick is finding small enough ones for us to actually move around without a great awl or backhoes.
Yeah. No, I think we should get back to the Shohin size, not the...
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So we ended up with that 5th one. When the day the guy got him, he had to unload him. He told me, you know what, keep the 5th one. Because he had paid for it already. He's like, you know, don't worry about it. Just keep it. And what the fuck are we going to do with this big ass olive too? We didn't have... like, you know, nowhere to put it or whatever. So sadly that olive got lost. I tried to take like a piece of it or whatever, but dude, it was super hard, you know, like it was just a rock. So yeah, we lost an olive, 100-year-old olive probably.
So, but that's obviously not the average olive that you're digging out.
Bro, no, I stopped that the next day. I haven't got anything nearly as big. Hell no.
So what's the average tree that you're kind of digging out and selling?
I like a lot of Shohin size mediums. What would be medium size? Like, I'm talking about maybe like a foot tall, maybe 16 inches, and a couple of 3-footers, 4-footers, but I tend not to. I got a couple. I do dig them out, but I tend not to. I like the smaller size just because literally of the time that it takes to work on them and do and move them and all that. So when I first started, I did do a lot of big ones, but it's way too much physical work, like way too much. I didn't have just quit my job for 13 years, and bruh, least thing I wanted was to do some more fucking hard work. You know, like I think I'll just chill with like the smaller ones, and I think it's funner. You know what I'm saying? To be able to work on 5 trees to 10 trees a day, then fucking focus on one tree for 2 days. You know?
Cesar was saying something interesting about what they look like when you collect them, and it reminded me of how they collect redwoods, actually. How, when you're looking around an orange field and you see something, what catches your attention that makes you think, oh, there might be a nice tree here to dig?
Well, nothing really catches my attention, only because now I know, I guess, what I'm going to find. But when I first kind of started doing it more serious, or even now, I guess I know better now, but recently I would go out and you see no trunks. You see nothing but basically suckers, like not even pencil thick maybe or less, you know, just 10 shoots coming off of the ground, off the dirt, and there ain't nothing else. Well, there's nothing below that, right? So it's kind of, what's that word? Well, I'll hit you guys with a big word right now, demoralizing. To see all those, you know, little shoots and think, damn, bro, I want to really dig this shit out. And what if it's like nothing, right? It's just, I don't know, like a clump of shoots. But 80 to 90% of the time, it's like you dig it, I dig it out. It takes me a shitload of time to take off all the dirt because it's like concrete, you know what I mean? Take it off the dirt. The more I take off dirt, the more I start realizing how there's actually a trunk that's full of roots, because all that dirt, obviously there's roots all over to the top. So most of the trees that I have, well, almost all, yeah, most of them, they have nice trunks. Those trunks were literally all like roots, you know, or maybe that was a fucking root, you know what I mean? Like,
I think that's what Jonas was talking about. Like when you go out and collect a redwood, you're walking around
see
and
that skinny straight.
you see like a 2-inch round tube, and then you start digging, and all of a sudden there's like a 6 or 10-inch burl kind of formation. So what you're saying is when you walk around looking, what you're actually seeing is like, you know, 4, 5, 6 foot tall shoots, and then you start digging to see what the shoots are coming out of.
yeah. So sometimes it's fun. It's like, what is that? Like a box of chocolates, right? You know what you're gonna get. And most of the time it's cool, you know what I mean? But sometimes it is like, damn, like it's nothing. You know?
And you just walk away.
Yeah. Well, no, you already dug that shit out, so. You know what I mean? But yeah.
So I grow olives from cutting, which is a whole different experience. But I found it's kind of interesting because essentially I don't care what all those shoots look like. I'm cutting all of those off, and all I'm after is that little basically burl formation that's the tree is making right below the surface, and then you kind of turn that into your trunk. So I mean, and in my experience, the roots, they're just like cooked spaghetti. Like they're really easy to cut through, but I'm growing them in like tiny containers. When you're digging them out of the field, are the roots like big and you have to like, you know, cut them with a sawzall kind of thing?
Yeah, half the time.
Yeah.
Half the time they're fucking. There's a lot of tap roots. First of all, on some of them there's nothing but tap roots, or at least, dude, I'm talking like 1/2-inch roots. You know what I'm saying? And then the roots that are what we would call fine aren't really fine because they're hard roots. Like I don't know how to explain that. You know, they're like pretty thicker than like fine roots and just straight and hard. You know what I mean? But I mean, I cut them off.
So you can pretty much cut any number of big, solid, woody roots off when you're digging.
Well, shit, I cut all of them off.
So are you are you using like a chainsaw to flat cut them on the bottom?
Yeah, one of my best investments, I think, was a little steel chainsaw. I don't know if you ever seen those little hand fucking saw.
Yeah.
I bought it like a couple months ago already. But dude, that's the best fucking thing ever because on most of them, and a big old pair of root cutters, like a big pair. I used to have a little concave, bruh. I was getting fucking, what is that, arthritis in my hand, you know, after like half of the day. So I bought a big pair of choppers. That makes it easier. But like you said, sometimes the taproot starts off as big almost, or just a little bit less bigger than the base of what I want the base of the tree to be. You know what I'm saying? Does that make any sense, kind of, sort of?
Yep.
So imagine trying to chomp that shit. Like, nah, you know what I mean? I bought a little chainsaw.
So that means you have to dig all the way around that to even get to it before you can cut
Oh,
it.
100%. That's why.
Oh, that's a lot of work.
It takes,
and
fucking.
through the hard pan you're digging, it must be horrible in the middle of summer.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because, like, I was telling you, my dad says I take forever, but I'm like, bro, I want to see you try to take all this shit out. Like, the dirt is hard. I mean, it's hard, you know, like, it's not like soft dirt, you know, like, it's just straight hard. Then you got to get through the roots, take off all the tap roots. And that's literally, like, my goal. Like, at this point, obviously, I want most of them to live. It sucks when they don't. But at this point, I don't care if they don't. In terms of, I want my shit straight pancake in the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want them as much as I can chop them down, and hopefully they make it. Which most of the time they do, though. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I had a friend who dug out some olives, and they used like a backhoe. But it sounds like you're doing most of it by hand.
Yeah, shovel.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but what he actually did was they dug up some burls that were way too big, and then they just kind of chainsawed them into chunks, and then like potted those up, and each one of them kind of sprouted its own sprouts. But I couldn't see a way.
I think that's where a lot of the bonsai come from that we've got.
Right, but then I guess you have to just carve away a ton of the wood in order to make it look like you didn't just chainsaw it into a chunk.
My current biggest olive looks like a slice of a pie. Because it's more or less a triangle. You can see there was the surface that was on the outside, and then the other two surfaces were just the left and right selections of the trunk. And honestly, it'd be a pretty small slice of the pie because I don't have a third of the way around. It must have been a really big tree that they somehow split into chunks. So where it's split, most of it is very natural looking deadwood. It broke all along the grain, and so it's uneven, irregular, more or less flat-ish. But what's cool is because it's a burl, the wood forms in kind of an odd. It's a burl formation. So as it broke through the burl, or as it was split apart, there actually is interesting character and shape at that part of it. The only part that required carving was near the top, where there was a flat cut on the top that needed to be managed, and that's when I learned how hard olive wood happens to be.
Oh yeah.
It is no joke. For anyone who's not played with olive deadwood, all three of us are smiling right now. We're just like, yeah, it's rough.
Makes really good cutting boards.
Exactly.
That could be a side gig for you. You're like, when they don't lay, you just cut them up into slabs.
I actually did that recently with cutting the things.
Mm-hmm.
My dad dug one out that was probably, I don't know, what is that, 2 feet wide.
Mm-hmm.
And probably, I don't even know, a couple inches high. So it was no good. So, I don't know, I did like you said. I took my little chainsaw and I just started cutting pieces off it. I think I got like 6 pieces off of it. And all of them took, and they're all growing. But like you said, on the sides now it's just a straight flat cut. So, I'm going to have to do some carving or something on that.
Kind of like that redwood you were talking about of Tim's. It was all hollowed out and just wood on one side and all the branches on the other side.
Yeah, so I mean, for yours that you're talking about a pie shape, you get all the branching comes out on one side. But I mean, deadwood on olives it's good as long as it's well done.
Well, and that's where it gets into olive styling, where you're not styling this thing to look like an olive. You're styling it like a juniper, essentially. And you've got branches that are kind of reaching around to the dead area so you can give the tree a full silhouette, depending on the overall scope of the deadwood.
Well, I mean, you see those pictures of the really, 1,000-year-old olives from Italy and whatnot, and they actually kind of have that swirling sort of trunk. So
they're amazing.
It's not that much of a reach to actually bring some branches from one side to another.
No, and you can totally imagine something dying or breaking in storms or just another 1,000 years of age, killing off big chunks of the tree and leaving you with this funny thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, low key or maybe high key, like you said, you could work them like junipers, and that's one of the things I love about olives is you could most definitely work them like junipers, but you could also work them like deciduous in terms of the branches. You know what I'm saying? Either like you said, wrap them around like a juniper, bring them hella down like a conifer, or if you want, make a little kind of more of a deciduous. Up
kind of like a broom style.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
More upright form.
Yeah, I think olives are cool in that in that form where like you can only just do one thing with them, and plus they got deadwood. But yeah, the Spain ones are different than the ones from here, obviously. But that's kind of one of the those are the ones I used to watch some dude on YouTube from Spain. I forgot his name right now.
Rafa Torres.
No, before I knew about him,
okay.
it's some other dude. And he went to Japan also to study. At, I forgot where, but anyways, that's where I first started seeing olives from out there, and I was like, "What the hell?" You know. And then I was like, "Bro, wait, I got olives right here." But as I started digging them out, they're different for sure. Even the leaves are different. You know, the way they grow, they're similar, but they're different. They branch out different.
So actually, that brings up the next thing that I had a question for you about, which because you're the perfect person to ask. I have noticed that there's just so much variation between olive to olive. The leaf size and shape is really variable. And then also the spacing between that the leaves naturally have seems to be really variable. So have you found so far in your experience, like a good range of different leaf sizes and shapes, and have a preference?
Yup. Well, I think like everybody, I prefer the smaller size leaves, but yeah, I have a couple of olives, and I have all those different. I have long leaves, which, yeah, that kind of sucks. If it's a bigger tree, then it looks okay, but I really like on most of the trees that I get. See, I think, man, I don't see. This is my, what's that big word? Philosophy. That I think this is what's going on. Like I said, some of them are probably from old orchards that were there and woody woo, and they're European olives that got the longer leaves maybe. Some of them I think were birds eating the seeds somewhere, shitting it out somewhere else. That, as like how, you know, I'm not an expert, but as how we know when stuff grows from seed, even you know, from one tree, 100 seeds, they come out. Some of them come out different, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I believe those are the ones that come out with the super tiny leaves, because I have some that are super tiny, even as in a 3-foot tall tree throwing out small leaves. Matter of fact, I have one that I was looking at this morning when I was watering. It's about like 2 to 3 foot high, but the leaves are the smaller leaves. I have another one that's like 1 or 2 foot, and it's got some long ass leaves. And in my experience, there's like probably 3 or 4 different types that I've seen so far, from the smaller ones. And even in the smaller ones, let's say, I don't know how to explain this, some leaves look thinner than other leaves. Some of them are a little bit more like thicker, more, you could see more meat on them, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And some of and those usually are the smaller leaf ones, like the more thicker leaf ones. The long leaf ones are usually more thin, more fragile, kind of, sort of, you know.
You ever seen the leaves change over time?
Like
meaning after you've had it for a year with more roots, more fertilizing, more water, have you seen that have an effect on the leaves? Or does the tree keep the same characteristics over time?
I'm seeing it right now. I was telling you earlier, some of the olives that I've had, I pruned them up. I put a little bit of fertilizer, supposing I wanted to put a lot so they don't shoot out too much, because a lot of them are small, show hand size or whatever. But I don't know if, obviously it was definitely the fertilizer, but once I fertilized them, now they're throwing not huge leaves, but bigger than they were before. But that being said, I got one that you've seen, the one that in the little Vicky Chamberlain pot. That one I've been working for at least 3 years, and that one has not got any bigger leaves.
No, those
it's
are super
been
small
since forever. So,
because that's one thing we were curious about, is if there was a cultural difference that would affect the leaf and shoot size.
Well, I guess I could add that in the growing operation, I'm using 2 different clones. So I had 2 different original genetic sources. I'm not actually digging up trees on a regular basis, but from those 2 clones, the one that I prefer is the one with the smaller leaves, obviously. And those smaller leaves are also closer together on the clone of the 2 that I prefer, which makes for really good ramification. But there were some other interesting differences that I've noticed, and that is that when they escape root into the ground from the containers, I've got them in pond baskets, and they'll escape root sometimes. The vigorous growth takes off, and I've got like a 6 or 8 foot tall shoot on them. They look almost identical. Like the leaves are bigger on all of them. Even the one that has really small leaves, the leaves get bigger, and it's harder to tell the difference. But then once I start cutting them back, the smaller leaf variety has a more of a reaction. Like the leaves get smaller, and they're thicker than the other one anyway. So
that would suggest that cultural practices do play a role, but that there is kind of a home base for every given genetic starting point.
I would think so. Yeah.
Oh, that's super interesting.
What size containers you say they're in?
They're like a 6-inch, like a gallon size.
Oh, okay, yeah, because most of mine are like little plastic bonsai pots, and I think that probably helps a lot, obviously, in terms of the inner nodes and the small leaves and all that.
Yeah, I mean, like the inner nodes can get super long, but with the smaller leaf varieties, they seem to compact more.
Yeah, and they could get super small with those, or super short.
Now, do you find in your experience, like once you've dug them up and you've got them growing, and you're you want them to shoot out a little bit to make sure that they've got a good set of roots before you're getting ready to get them ready for sale, basically? Do you find that like it's better to leave them longer? It's like, or you're cutting them back pretty quickly?
Oh, you mean before I prune them or before I cut them?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I'm not sure if I have a good answer. Because, I'm going to tell you right now, they're all different in terms of strength after repotting.
Mm.
So I will say this. I have had to where I repot them and maybe a month or two after I'm already pruning that same tree, to where I have had some that I'll be waiting for 4 months.
So there's a different amount of time based on what the tree is doing.
Yeah. Yeah, if I see that it's growing strong, dude, I'm cutting it back ASAP. And it's budding back up ASAP. Like in 2 weeks is budding out again.
We were talking about that this morning, whereas for so many species, I like it when the trees blow out so you can establish some roots and get some roots going. But it sounds like when conditions are right, reserves or no, olives just have the ability to produce crazy amounts of growth.
I mean, I think part of it for the collecting operation that he's performing, the trees are obviously getting a lot of resources because they've got big long roots in the ground, and so they've got a lot of stored resources in the trunk material, and so they can handle that. Have you ever like chainsawed one flat and then ended up going back a year later and doing it again, which I'm hypothesizing might not work out quite as well?
Wait, what do you mean, like one that's in the ground?
Like maybe do one cut when you collect it, and then when you repot it, you realize, I have to cut it again.
Oh, and do it again right there, like a couple of days later?
No,
the next time you repot, say a year or two down the road, it's like, I've got to get this into a bonsai pot. It went into a 5-gallon can last time.
Oh,
now I got to get this in this fancy pot.
When I first started, yeah. Now, like I said earlier, I try to do that shit as soon as I dug it out. You know what I mean? Cut as much as I can.
And when you had to cut them twice, did you find that it was detrimental to the growth?
Like the second time it don't bounce back as good?
Yeah.
No.
Because that definitely happened to me. I pretty much had an olive that didn't grow for about 3 years after I did a second chainsaw cut.
Well, me rewinding all the way back to like one of probably the first year I was in bonsai, Doug Phillips was digging out olives and growing them, and then he talked about flat cutting them, which I think pretty much everybody, you have to do it because otherwise you've got this giant burl underneath that you're never going to be able to get rid of. But then he mentioned that if you don't flat cut them initially, that doing it later can be detrimental.
And that was my very limited experience.
Yeah.
The tree lived, but there were numbers of years when it didn't produce afterwards. I think that's because when you first collect it, it's super duper strong, so it has all those roots.
Yeah.
And then after it's been a bonsai and after it's blown out for a couple of years, I think it radically changes the variables going into it.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I've never had it happen in terms of after repotting, but like I told you earlier, I've had trees do that when I first dig them out, to where like they take a year or a little more to even do anything.
Yeah.
So I'm over here contemplating whether to take them out. It's another big word, whether to throw them out or trash them or something. But my mom inside of me tells me keep watering them. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna see it. And surprisingly, some of them do come back, after a year, or not come back, but start sprouting or start growing after a whole ass year,
Well, that reminds me of something else that we were talking about earlier. I guess it was a year ago, Cesar gave me an olive and he had dug a whole bunch on the exact same day. And Cesar came back maybe 6 or 8 weeks later, and mine had not started to grow, and his had grown about a foot. And that's not surprising because no one's going to assume that,
Wait, was this a sample size of 1?
Yes. But it was shocking to him because none of his other trees had ever responded so slowly. And it ended up growing absolutely perfectly. So totally meaningless in terms of science, but it was interesting in that a lot of the things that we've been doing with our olives over many years may not be inherent to the species and maybe more a reflection of what our weather is as opposed to what was going on with that olive. In other words, none of us probably have great data for what the species is capable of, given whatever our limitations and weather has been this whole time.
Well, I mean, a couple episodes back, I talked to Bernard, who's in Western San Francisco, and he had an olive in the 2022 Expo. It was like a short little, I mean, the trunk almost looked like a mushroom, or the trunk was like the stem of the mushroom, and then the foliage was the cap of the mushroom. It was a pretty cool little tree because it was just like a really kind of bulbous thing. That's actually where I got the one that I like that I'm growing. But he lives in Western San Francisco. It's cold. So it's so cold. Like
they just don't see the sun.
But it still grows all right. And it's funny because people who live out on the avenues in San Francisco, they ask me like, what should I be growing? And I was like, well, they're not going to grow fast, but they still grow. You can still grow those olives out there, and they don't seem to mind the salt, just like the salt in the water, the salt coming off the ocean. They don't seem to like really bother it. And so they just grow slow, but they're still reliable growers. It's crazy how adaptable they are.
Now, I've been getting a leaf spot on my olives. Does he water the foliage? Because it's way wetter where he is than where I am.
Oh, you don't have to water the foliage when you're on the avenues.
Well, my point is, if I water it at all, I get leaf spot.
I'm just saying that like nature's just watering it for you all afternoon.
But if he's not spraying and not getting it, then maybe I'm just unlucky then.
I think he has had some foliar issues in the past, and he does use fungicides to make sure that things don't get crazy. I mean, little black leaf spot, like we get it sometimes on elms as well. And I think that
they're about 3/8 of an inch, these circles. They're all the same size.
And it's like 1 dot per leaf.
You get multiple dots of discoloration, and they'll even overlap sometimes, and they'll get kind of this purpley, orangey, browny spots. It's a really funny looking thing. They're all perfectly round. They're all about the same size, but they can overlap.
You get that?
No.
Oh, not where, yeah.
No, see, that's something that, obviously I don't want fungus, but I wish I got a little bit more like fungus or anything, because truthfully I haven't had a problem with anything at all. Besides, I had a couple that dried out and the leaves burned, like just in the edges. That's literally no fungus problems, no insect problems, besides maybe a grasshopper or two. You know what I'm saying?
We're going to both move to the Fresno area.
Exactly. I was going to say, newsflash, fungus is not a big problem when temperatures hit 115.
I never.
Not a big surprise.
I had a lot of people ask me that, but no problems so far.
And do you guys get hard freezes? Like, does it drop below freezing?
Yep. We get
upper 20s,
as low as
maybe?
to 24.
And they just do fine.
25, 26.
Even in the containers.
Oh, yeah. I never had a problem.
That's amazing.
See, but there has to be a cutoff because you can't grow an olive outside in Minnesota.
Right.
And when he was saying that I don't like to dig in the winter, I'm like imagining someone sitting there in Minnesota being like, what are you talking about, winter?
Winter, right.
Yeah. Well, we definitely have a couple months of winter here. I don't know. I guess over there it's cold all the time. I do have a lot of people ask me, like, how cold or when do they have to winterize them?
Oh, what do you tell them?
That I don't know.
That's a good answer. We usually tell people like they don't like being below freezing. I mean, maybe a minor or brief freeze, maybe, but that's it.
I tell them how. Oh.
I get the same question all the time, and it doesn't just pertain to olives, but like, how cold can I let this tree get? Because, I get like -10 or something like that. And I'm just like, you are asking the wrong person. I live in San Francisco and it never gets below 45 degrees Fahrenheit. So then I refer them to...
It doesn't get higher than that either, but...
Then I refer them to Jonas's winter care article on the Bonsai Tonight site. And that's about as far as I can point them. So...
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. A lot of people ask me, and all I could do literally is tell them my experience in terms of weather here too, and how cold it gets, and how they don't miss a beat. So my guess, I don't even know to be honest, but my guess is once you start getting down to like, I don't know, 15-10 maybe, it's an issue.
Oh no, I would go that cold. That sounds cold. What we should do is have people write you directly, Sencal Bonsai on Instagram, and let Cesar know how cold you've kept these things through winter, because none of us have a good sample of cold experience.
So if people want to see pictures of the olives that you're talking about, you have an Instagram account?
Yep, my Instagram, Facebook, and a YouTube. It's out there.
So Sencal, so that's CENCAL Bonsai?
Yep, Sencal Bonsai.
As in Central California.
Central California, yeah. I had somebody ask me that on Facebook a while back. They're like, "What's Sencal?" I'm like, "Central California." Yeah, it's easy.
We're all waiting for more YouTube videos.
Yeah, I know. I've been hearing, but I'm blessed as of now to not have time to make a video, because since the last time we did a podcast, I hadn't been doing this full time, which now I am, and I love it, but it definitely gives me no time to make videos for YouTube, to work on my personal trees. I got a couple trees that just, you know what I'm saying, they've been letting go. Well, the whole year they've just been going and going and going, and they're probably gonna get got. You know what I'm saying? They're probably gonna lose them.
Well, I think so. 3 professionals in the room. What does the average week look like for you, or day?
Damn.
Yeah, because a lot of people are really interested in how they can make bonsai a bigger part of their lives, and I think you've been doing this for a little over a year now, and I think it'd be really interesting to hear what a week looks like.
Well, it's barely going to be a year in October, I think, or November, since I started my little business thing or doing this full time. And shit, let me tell you, it's definitely as fun as I thought it would be. It's just definitely 200% more work than I thought it was going to be. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I have no time to do anything else but bonsai right now. Or not really bonsai, just working on keeping up with everything,
Have you made a schedule? Like, do your weeks look the same week to week? Or
not exactly the same, but kind of. Mondays are for shipping. That's the first thing, And usually, thankfully, like I said, I'm pretty blessed. I do get a lot of people hitting me up and shit. Sell a couple. So if I sell a good amount, it will take me at least half or 3/4 of the day to just pack up trees and ship them out. Because I got to ship them out before the post office closes at 4 and the UPS at 5. So I got to ship out before. So once I do that, another thing is I live in a little ass town where there is no UPS. There's barely even a post office. So UPS is like 20 minutes from me. So by the time I go drop off trees, come back, well, there goes the whole day. Tuesday, got to get some stuff, take pictures for stuff that I'm going to post for sale. And that takes some time as well. Not only looking. So right now, I guess just to give you guys a little bit of a idea, I got a couple hundred olives. Not exactly. I think I stopped counting after like 200 or 300, I think. So I got a couple. So it takes me a while to go and look at what I want to sell for the week, or what's ready, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Once I pick it out, I gotta get it ready. Which, me personally, just me. Now I'm sure a lot of people like you guys don't have this problem, but like we said earlier, I got that hard ass water. I got those water spots. Most of the time, I like to take my time and not clean them perfectly, but dust them off a little bit, like the leaves. So that takes even on the strong side of the tree, that takes a little bit of time. You know what I'm saying? But I'll be chilling. So Tuesday is probably me doing that.
Where are you? Sorry to interrupt you. Where are you mostly listing them for sale?
On Facebook. I do a lot of the auction Facebook, but thankfully, I don't even know how. A lot of people message me on Facebook, either probably because they see me on the auctions, or a lot of people that hit me up from the last podcast. So I got a lot of people that hit me up on Facebook, just through messages and stuff. And then, I know a lot of people in person, and I'll be delivering sometimes. You feel me?
All right, so that takes up your Tuesday, taking photos and whatnot. And then what happens on Wednesday?
Okay, so Wednesday, in my terms, it's time to get to work, right? So I usually, I mean, this is the thing. There's always something to do. Okay, in terms of pruning, like I said, I got a couple hundred olives. 100 of them or 150 to 200 of them already needed pruning. You know what I'm saying?
That's since last Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I sit down. I have not many, but I have a couple clients that I work on, that I go to their houses and work on their trees, like their personal trees, not olives, they just whatever, junipers, stuff like that. So if I do that, which I tend to do that once a week, if not once every 2 weeks, that's a whole ass day that I lose on my trees or business or whatever. So I tend to, obviously I'm blessed and I appreciate having the clients, but sometimes it's like, damn, you know what I'm saying? I gotta drive over here to do this now, and I had all this stuff to do. So then that's usually that's another day. So now let's get to Thursday. Thursday is pruning olives, choosing primary branches, because even though I don't work on them like super detailed, I like to work on them, because first of all, that's the reason I fucking got in this shit to begin with, you know, because I like working on trees. Second of all, I don't know, they look better when you sell them, when you show them, when you post them, when people see them. They look better when they actually look better. You know what I mean? They look like a bonsai, you know. So it takes not a long time, but throughout the day, oh man, if I could put a number, because honestly I don't even count. If I could put a number throughout the day, I could probably work on like 30, 40 trees.
You mean just pruning?
Just pruning, yeah, pruning. So, well, that's the kicker there. I think that's the right phrase for this. That's if I don't have anything dug out.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, because I know sometimes you receive either you're digging and or receive a bunch of trees that have recently been dug.
Yeah, so ever since the last podcast, I was doing a lot of the digging myself. My dad, like I said in the last podcast as well, helped me a lot. And now more than ever, he's like my I basically gave him an upgrade and made him an employee. You know what I'm saying? So now now that I do this full time, I literally have no time to go look for olives, much less dig them out. Because, dude, just that alone takes a day or two. You know what I mean? To go look for some olives, go dig them out, woody woo. So now I'm paying my dad to go do that. You know, he goes to look for olives, and it works out great. Not only because I don't have to go, but I mean, I'm cool as hell too. But he's also a real good people's person. So he meets a lot of people. He talks to a lot of people. So he's able to go to a lot more, you know, places that I would go to. You know, usually, well, before he would always help me, like I said. So he would always bring me trees. But now that I'm paying him, it's like this dude's bringing every olive he sees. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, because I pay him per tree, no matter the size. You know, a set amount. So he'll come maybe every other day with trees, to the point where I'm telling him, hold up though, because I still gotta, you know, like we talked earlier, I still gotta dig through them. I still gotta cut all the roots. I still gotta pot them up. And it takes me usually more than one day to do 15 to 20 dugout olives.
So that's all day Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, well, see, at this moment in my life, I do have a girlfriend. So, I mean, I love her. No regrets. But Saturdays are usually for her. And Sundays are usually for my family. Like my mom and dad, you know, just be around them and whatever. Or both days, you know, my girl too. Or I'm out on a business trip. You know what I'm saying? I go to places sometimes on the weekend. So when I don't have plans, which is not that often, I'm pruning olives. I'm going back to work, because the way I see it, after Friday is Monday, and that's shipping day again. You know what I'm saying? And there's no pruning olives on Monday. So now what I like to do is, when I don't have plans on Sunday, I like to get a little bit ahead of the packing, make a couple boxes, get all the trees ready in terms of like set them all in one place, get all the package materials there, and if I can, and if I'm there late enough, I'll start packing at nighttime. Once the sun goes down, start packing them up, maybe like 3-4 of them, depends how many I got. That way on Monday I don't gotta pack that much, because, you know, somebody had asked me once, just recently, like a week or two, he bought a tree off me, and he's like, oh, you know, you did a great job or whatever. I could only imagine it took you, you know, 2-3 hours to do all of this week's olives. And I don't think neither did I realize how long it takes to package a tree well, to do it right and to do it carefully and everything. Like I said, it takes me probably all the way to 3 or 4. And and you know, believe it or not, I'll be getting up early. So I'll be going at it at 6 in the morning. I'm already sitting down, going ham, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes, you know, I take lunch. Because sometimes I get hungry, you know what I'm saying? So that's you know,
that's straight packing for 8 or 9 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that is not a trivial amount of work.
Yeah, so yeah, it's yeah.
And no one goes into bonsai for the shipping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
maybe when your dad's got too many trees at the back of his truck, you can pay him per package. Per package on the other side.
Exactly.
He gets them in and he gets them out.
Yeah, every time he drops off a tree, he's got to pick up a few to ship out on the way.
Yeah, just this week, actually, as I'm getting ready for the expo as well, I just got done repotting some trees that my dad brought me, I believe, Wednesday or Tuesday. And, you know, I know my dad pretty well. I think it was Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. So, yeah, today's Friday. Yesterday, I saw this look in his eye, and I'm like, bro, this dude about to pull up with some olives soon. You know what I'm saying? And I had a little talk, and I was like, hey, how about we wait till next week? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm behind on pruning some olives for the expo. I'm trying to get them, you know, nice and tidy or whatever. And so, yeah, digging or repotting takes a lot of my time. Pruning takes a lot of my time. And no time for personal trees.
You mentioned the expo. You were going to be a vendor at the expo. What will people find at your table at the expo this fall?
Well, you could take a wild guess. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm gonna take hopefully a good amount of olives. And you know, now that you brought that up, like I was telling you earlier, I think it's just a trip. Because the first time I was in this podcast, I had a regular job. I had it for 13 years. Not once thinking about doing bonsai for a living. After that podcast, it must have been 3 months after that or something like that. I can't remember exactly when the podcast was. I talked to a couple of people that kind of pushed me to do it. Some others also supported me. And I remember I quit my job, not for bonsai, but when I quit my job, I was already like digging up more olives than I was before. And I remember somebody in specific told me he had bought a couple of trees off me. And when I was going to go home, I had delivered them. He tells me I had just quit my job. It was like, that must have been like in the weekend. So that week before I quit my job. And he tells me, are you going to go look for a job tomorrow, which was Monday? Or are you going to go dig out some more olives? So, bro, I fucking looked back and I was like, bro, you know what? I think I'm going to go dig out some more olives. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, ever since then, I started digging out olives. And it's crazy to think, not only that, but that I also attended the first expo. And, I mean, when would I have thought when I was there that the next expo I would be a part of it or vending at it and hopefully one day showing some at it too. You know what I'm saying? So, man, life's a struggle for sure, but there is a lot of fucking good moments that I think we take for granted, and we should realize how blessed we are.
So are you going to have mostly Shohin size, you think, or are you going to bring up some bigger ones?
My initial thought was literally 100% Shohin, just because it was going to be easier to carry around, and that's kind of what I like and I have a ton of. But as the months passed, I realized I have some decent medium-sized to maybe large-sized olives that I might bring. I probably will. Just gonna have to get a trailer for it, because I guess that's the thing I didn't want to do. Also, was like, dude, if I bring some big ass trees, I'm gonna have to rent a trailer because they don't fit, in the back of my truck. And now I got over that fear, and I said, you know what, I'm getting me a trailer. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna get a trailer for a bunch of Shohin. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna bring a.
Actually, if you did, that might be pretty sweet. That'd be a lot of little trees.
I mean, I would buy a few Shohin olives, maybe one or two bigger ones too.
Yeah, so we'll see if you do that, because they'll be there.
So also, since you last were on the show, I got to see you do a presentation for the Daiichi Bonsai Kai, where, Doyle reached out, and had you come in and give a program on that. And I know you've been doing a lot more teaching for olives. For people that haven't worked with olives much, what are some initial tips for how you train them?
Hell yeah. Shout out to Doyle. That was a blast for sure. The question was, how do you train them?
Yeah, for people that haven't worked with olives a whole lot yet, what are some things to keep in mind? You know, people might be familiar with junipers or jade or whatnot, but they may not know about olives.
I think one of the biggest things that it's not even about how to style them, but it's more of how to take care of them. I think the biggest thing is literally, if you think you're watering them, you most likely are. Because I tend to wait till they're dry, or at least a little dry, before I water them, because I've had, as I've learned, if they stay too wet, they'll die on you. And by too wet, I mean, like, it's harder to explain it because everybody has different temperatures, of course. Mm-hmm. But in mine, no matter how hot it is, if I water, let's say twice a day, most of the olives don't get watered twice a day, even at 110.
So if it's 110, how many trees you water twice a day?
Probably
10%, 20%.
I would say 25%.
So a quarter of
30.
them. If it's 95 degrees, how many do you water twice a day?
None of the olives. Almost
so
none.
You were just doing once a day in 95 degree, and that's a dry California heat, not too humid. So you don't start doubling up on trees until it's over 100 pretty much.
Yep.
So these are Shohin size that we're talking about. What kind of...
Shohin even showing these tiny
big.
little
If
things.
it's big, shit. Yeah, big, I'm not tripping whatsoever.
And what kind of soil are you using?
For those, I use half and half black lava and just regular potting soil. Like the stock or what do you want to call it? The stuff that's for sale, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. The personal, I have some olives that are like more personal that I've been working on. Those that I have on straight up, bonsai soil, akadama, pumice.
Yeah. So most of the ones that you're growing are in a little bit denser soil than a typical bonsai. So that kind of makes sense.
But I'd also expect that to get really dry. So are they more or less bone dry when you water them again, or is there a tiny bit of moisture in there?
More or less bone dry.
Wow.
But like the ones that I have that are in the akadama and stuff, those also, I don't water too much, except one of them that I had to like, so I just make sure. But I do wait till I see that at least the top is dry.
So what do you do in fall or spring? Say it's only 75 degrees. Do you water every other day, or are you still watering once a day when it's mild?
Definitely not once a day. Once every 2 days. Once every.
So in winter you're not watering much at all, then probably.
No, not the olives. No. Well, I mean other trees either, but the olives.
He's making a good case for growing olives right here.
They
grow in San Francisco. They grow in 115 degree heat. Apparently they can get really dry. They thrive in potting soil and lava. You can dig them any time of year.
I'm thinking it's kind of like succulents, where the biggest death is either keeping them cold and wet is probably the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I do use that soil mix mostly because, dude, I would go broke trying to fucking have good soil on all of them. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody in the nursery industry uses akadama.
No, and it might actually slow your trees down because it holds more moisture.
Yeah, so, yeah, bro, in winter, well, when it's winter, when we talking winter, bro, shit you not, probably once a week.
Yeah.
Couple days for sure.
So, apart from what you said already in terms of care and whatnot, are you giving them straight out of the ground a lot of fertilizer, or are you just kind of letting them go turbo on their own because it's so warm and they've got a bunch of fresh soil?
Yeah, they're definitely boosting on themselves because, like I said earlier, I've tried just recently to fertilize them, and dude, we're talking minimal fertilizing. I didn't go in there and just put a bunch of fertilizer on them. Minimal fertilizing. And I don't like the way they're growing. You know what I'm saying? Like
2 course.
Yeah, two course. Yeah, I for over a year for sure. I've had some that I've not once have I fertilized them, and every time I prune them, they bounce back just crazy.
They're just apparently getting just what they need from that soil mix.
I mean, the bigger the tree, you could probably. I mean, you don't need to, but you could probably fertilize it if you want.
So are you going to stop fertilizing or just cut back on your fertilizer?
Cut back. or on some of them probably stop. To be honest, like if they're super super small, I'm just not. I mean, I do have that. What is it? Bio gold. So like on the super super tiny ones, maybe I put like just like 2-3 of those little balls or triangles, whatever it is, you know. But in terms of the other fertilizer, I don't think I want to fertilize that much. It just
like
kind of scares me.
Not even a pinch of the apex.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna experiment some more over the coming months and years. But as of now, dude, they're fine without it. They don't need it.
What other species are you having luck with in your neck of the woods?
I have one pomegranate, but that does awesome over there. I have some elms that do great over there as well. And junipers, they're not the best, but they don't care for the heat. I guess I have two, like 4 of them, 5 of them. And a couple Californias, and the Californians obviously they love the heat out there. So, but like in terms of Shinpaku, some Itogawas or some Kishu, I got a couple, and they seem to do fine as well. I mean, I once the 110s and stuff like that started coming around, I did put shade cloth, of course, which is kind of funny, because initially I wasn't gonna do it, because when it was like already 105 or something, I would water. Those days I would water twice a day on my olives because I had no shade cloth. And they were drying up, by 3, 4, or 5, and that's another thing, about like not watering the top of the trees when it's hot. Bro, I was watering them peak heat. You know what I'm saying? When it's like hot, I was watering all my olives through the top. I mean, I got fucking time. I got a couple $100. I ain't got time to sit there and carefully water them. So I'm watering them all through the top. Never had a problem. And so because of that, I thought I wasn't ever gonna put shade cloth only to like my junipers or like a little short area. But then I realized that in terms of time, just like how we said, I got no time to do nothing. I'd rather just water once when I can instead of twice, just because I don't have a shade cloth. But that's another thing I'm about to say. One thing I have been finding out is the shade cloth also makes the leaves go bigger, as it's scientifically proven, right? They don't get enough or as much sun as they would when they're just out in the sun. So that's one of the setbacks, I guess, which is a bummer because I got some little Shohin ones that were cute little tiny leaves, and they probably would have stayed tiny in the sun. But now they're not huge leaves, but they're just bigger than I would like them to be. You know what I'm saying? And so imagine add some fertilizer to that on top of that, the shade cloth, fucking, you know what I'm saying, big old leaves on a tiny tree or something. So yeah.
It's just so funny thinking about how different that experience is, say, than the olives you're growing at your farm. How often do you water?
I mean, we water most of now that I have an actual functional irrigation system, rather than just a hose. We water most stuff once a day. And prior to that, we were kind of doing hand watering once every other day or daily. Now, pines I water less, but the olives, I mean, we have them in a kind of a coarse perlite with a little bit of cocoa coir mixture, so it's probably a little bit more porous than what he's using, and they seem to do perfectly fine with once a day. I was just thinking as you were saying that I'm not sure I've ever seen the tip of an olive shoot wilt.
That was going to be my next question, is what happens when they dry out? Do they wilt? Do they just go straight to brown? Or
they 100% wilt.
Okay.
100%. I have a couple trees that they're in bigger pots, actually, which is kind of funny. The bigger pots I'm talking about, those black Anderson boxes, whatever you call them.
Oh, the prop flats. Those is like 17-inch squares.
Yeah,
15-inch.
Yeah, the squares, the black squares. Yeah. I have two. I have a couple that size, or olives that size that need to be in those containers, and those I don't water as much, obviously, as the Shohin size ones because they're in a big old pot and they just hold water more. So that's where I noticed that they definitely wilt, because some of those I'll forget to water for not a whole ass day or 2 days, but like, a couple hours more than like the Shohin ones and stuff, and they're definitely wilt. Yeah, I see them wilting.
I stand corrected.
There we go. They have really sturdy shoots, and so it's a much coarser, meatier shoot that they have. And they probably have a greater threshold before they wilt.
Yeah, I was going to say, so they probably have to be super dry for them to wilt. Because I have seen it, like I said, 100%, but does it happen often? Not at all.
Now, Do you have any older like olives that you've had for like since you started bonsai?
Not since I started, because when I started, I was like a typical rookie trying to get all kinds of trees that don't even grow over there. You know what I'm saying? So not since I started, but I think the longest one is the one I was talking about earlier, which has been three, probably 4 years almost. Mm-hmm. And I've been doing bonsai 6 years, so almost, but not the whole time, man. It's a shohin size though.
I just find I guess my question that I'm headed for here is that I find on some of the student trees that I work on now, Bernard's has like a full lifeline all the way around, but I have other students that have older olives that were dug out, you know, maybe 10 plus years ago, and big portions of the trunk were dead or killed off, or, you know, during the collection process or something like that. And in some cases, you get these really skinny kind of lifelines running up one side of the wood. I mean, almost to the point of a California juniper type lifeline where it's
I've seen them skinnier. I've actually seen that a lot.
Where it's like a 1/4 inch wide, and they start to make like a really pretty cool looking little bulge, lifeline kind of bulge. And there's not as much contrast between the wood and the lifeline as you get on a juniper. But that's why I was asking you about the older trees, is because I think that in the long term, having isolated lifelines could make for really interesting, older looking olives. And we just have to continue sort of exploring that aesthetic.
As long as it stays healthy.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Because I remember, I forget whose tree it was. It was like the pencil-sized lifeline meandering up the trunk. And there were 3 lifelines all on the same side of the trunk. And it almost looked like veins because they didn't totally follow the contour of the wood. And so it actually wasn't an interesting or dramatic look. It was a very idiosyncratic look of these. It was like a worm on top of the dead wood. It was really weird looking. But the color is kind of the same because a lot of the bark will stay dead on an olive for a very long time until you peel it off. And so it's all that silver color, but then you have that kind of raised area, like there's something just under the surface there, and it kind of shrivels everywhere else. That's odd.
Now, thinking about that makes me wonder about sucker management, because obviously when a lifeline gets weak, the tree will start budding from the base. Do you spend a lot of time managing stuff coming out of the soil and trying to remove it?
Oh, 100%. I think olives, whether they're weak or healthy, they're just gonna bust out with suckers all over. And yeah, I deal with that a lot. And the lifeline thing, definitely, I've had a couple trees that I dug out that are like that. I sold most of them. I have one right now that's actually pretty cool in terms of like one whole side looks, and I thought was completely dead. It is dead wood, but it's got like 3, 4, 5 shoots on it right now. So somehow there's a lifeline somewhere in there, but you can't tell because, I haven't cleaned up the deadwood either or nothing, but it just looks like deadwood. So yeah, they definitely do that.
I've had shoots just pop out of what I thought was deadwood as well, and they grew for a while, but then ended up dying. It's as if they never sprouted roots on that same lifeline. It's like it had the ability to leaf and bud, but there was no root to sustain it over time, which was kind of weird. But the suckering I get all the time. Every 2 weeks I pretty much have to remove suckers from olives. On the younger ones, the ones from you essentially. My older ones don't do that as much, but the younger small ones, they're suckering all the time.
The 2 different cultivars, I guess I'll call them, that I've been growing, I find that one of them makes like a really nice solid base if you just let the shoots run. And the other one has this really annoying habit of making high kind of like roots coming out of the side of the stem, so that it doesn't actually make like a cohesive base. It makes like this weird sort of, it's almost like exposed root but it just doesn't end up looking good. And I think that I haven't seen that happen in naturally dug olives, but it seems to be a thing in nursery olives.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah, that would not be helpful.
I can't.
It's terrible. It's really frustrating. It's like, imagine if a sucker or like something comes, like a shoot comes out like an inch above the soil, and then somehow that shoot starts to form its own root next to the trunk instead of the lifeline.
Oh, I've seen that. It's like this weird buttressing thing. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's really frustrating, and I have not found a way to harness that into a good-looking bonsai
because
tree.
I've seen that in Chinese elm too, but I've seen olives where you end up with this horrible reverse taper because sometimes those suckering things take off and thicken up, and then the trunk is smaller. And so people bring these trees in a workshop and you just scratch your head. It's like, well, there's only 2 roots up high, but that's where the trunk is the widest. Or you can go down to where there's all kinds of roots, but it's usually after a perfectly straight section, and then you have more radially spread roots.
But do you see that very often where you have like a much higher root compared to the generally like cluster of roots under the surface of the soil?
Or you just cut all that off, so you just keep the good part you want and hope it roots.
Yeah, you mean like if it roots higher up, and then not as
like you've got roots in a trunk, and then a root pops out above that, and so you get inverse taper up here. So it's like wider 6 inches above the base, or 2 inches above the base.
Okay.
Or on small trees, like an inch above the base.
I have seen that, but not often.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that I've dug out. No, not often. But now, I know exactly what you mean, though. Yeah, I haven't had a huge problem with that, but I have come across that sometimes, not often.
Good.
Yeah.
Have you spent much time, I mean, different topic than crazy roots, but have you spent much time sort of investigating what the larger bonsai world, particularly like the guys in Spain, are doing in terms of styling and aesthetics on bonsai?
Not hugely like researching it, but I have seen multiple videos and a little bit of here and there. And it's like Jonas said earlier, it seems like over there they do style them more like junipers or conifers in terms of like sometimes even one branch makes a tree. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So yeah, I've seen crazy stuff like that. And here, I don't know, dude. I guess also too though, here not a lot of people use olives, bro. I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? Like they're.
Well, I think it's valuable to like just talk about resources for inspiration, you know, because what you're doing is one part of the equation where it's like, well, I can't get anywhere if I don't have somewhere to start. And so you're providing that starting point. But I wonder if what have you found to be the most inspiring in terms of like moving an olive towards show condition?
Yeah, like what olives have you seen that excite you and make you think, yeah, this is why I'm growing olives?
Oh, okay, yeah. Before I did it full time, it was definitely the Spain olives until I started researching how they are different. You know what I'm saying? I can't name like one specific olive or something where I've seen, but like you said, the one at the expo was pretty sick. And you know, that's what I just said earlier. I don't see many olives that are badass or have been worked on for years or are in that show quality. There's a lot of good olives, but in terms of, you know, because you don't see olives in Japan, so it's like I never seen something that I'm like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you tell me. There's not many professionals that have some, you know what I'm saying?
Sounds like the door's open for doing some more olive exploration.
Well, I know at one point I saw some photos of Bjorn had gotten a couple of big, crazy olives, and I don't know where they came from. I know there was a guy down in Texas that was doing a lot of digging of larger, kind of crazy trunks, but most of the inspiration that I've seen has come from, I believe it's Rafael Torres in Spain, who has a really nice garden, and Bjorn went over there for a show. And when I attended the Bonsai-san show in 2019 in France, there were a couple, well, more than a couple, there were a few good olives that had come from Spain for the show. And it was really interesting to kind of see what they did with the pad work, because it was pretty tight, much tighter than what we see. And that was also sort of fed into my much earlier question about the leaf size, because what I was seeing in their finished work was basically they only seem to be working with the ones that have tiny leaves. Like, I mean, I'm talking like half an inch at the biggest.
Wow.
And then those leaves are packed as tight as you would expect, you know, like you can get them pretty tight if you have a small leaf and it has short internodes. So it was nice to see some really good branch work and that kind of high level execution of them. I just wish we had more examples here locally to go off of. I mean, I built the one that I keep talking about that Bernard has. I built it from the stump essentially, but given his weather, I don't get the same kind of growth that you get. And so I don't feel like we've been able to completely harness. It's got a nice full crown, but I don't feel like we've been able to completely harness creating a really beautiful structure.
Yeah, I think it's 100% facts that that, like you said, there is a limited amount of pretty people that have some nice olives here, but Spain, I think, is definitely where I've seen some just crazy ass shit. The leaf sizes, like I said, is because that's their olive over there, and from what I hear, it only grows over there. But I mean, I believe it. Sometimes some of the olives that I have, the leaf is very similar, but what I notice is the growth on the Spain olives is different. Like the way the branches grow is just different than the way the branches grow on these olives. Like it's more, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's different. It's like more. I don't know, for some reason I want to say twiggy, but it's more like, you know, it shoots out this, I don't even know how to explain it, but they grow different 100%. I've noticed it, obviously, because I've had a couple, and I only had a couple that are very similar in terms of leaf size and even how the leaves look. Also, the leaves are not a different color, like a big difference, but they're a little bit different color than most of what we dig out over here, you know? Those leaves are pretty dark.
I wonder if it's like wild type versus the more fruiting. Do you notice a difference because in my experience, the ones that have little teeny leaves, as in a bonsai pot anyway, I've never seen them fruit or flower. Whereas the ones that have bigger leaves, even in a bonsai pot, I've seen a fair amount of flowering and fruiting.
Yeah, see, the Spain ones are mostly all dug out. From what I've seen or heard or read, they are wild olives. And like I said earlier, the ones that I think are the ones that birds are shitting out the seeds and they're growing, those are the ones that come out, and 100% I think they're fruitless as well. I mean, I haven't been doing it for hella years to know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that those don't fruit. And they have the smaller leaves, the tiny, smaller leaves, small ass internodes, you know? So it's like, it's not the same type of tree, but it's like, it's very similar to the Spain one, because the Spain one, I believe, is a wild olive. It's not a fruiting olive. Somehow, I guess there are foothills over there instead of oak trees. They got olives, you know?
Well, let's just chat with someone who can fill us in from Europe. I'm sure there are plenty of people can straighten us out on how that works. I'll have to add that to the list.
I love being straightened out.
Yeah, it's great. Well, what else do you have to say about olives for us? Any other items you want to share about your crazy year of bonsai or something else?
Man, I can't, nothing off the top of my head besides everybody needs an olive. At least I feel like mostly, what would be the word, temperate climates or stuff like that. I don't know why you don't got an olive. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and I'm not just saying so you could buy one off of me. You can buy one from whoever you want. The problem is, what I see is like we talked about earlier. They got the deadwood. They easy to take care of in terms of, you know, they could go a little dry and it's completely fine. Matter of fact, I think, like I said, they like it. They like to be a little dry. I'll give an example last podcast, and it's something that stuck with me for a while. Is last year I dug out 2 to 3 trees, and it was 110 degrees. I did not have time to repot them, and they were bigger trees. So, like, if it was a smaller tree, I would stick it in a bucket of water for a day or two, you know what I'm saying, just so it doesn't dry out. That big tree was out in the ground, sitting down for about 2 to 3 days, and I would just mist it here and there, like maybe once a day. By the time I potted it up, it actually just shot up, like, you know what I'm saying, nothing ever happened, you know. So yeah, I think a lot of people need olives because they're easy to take care of, and you could do so much with them in terms of if it has nice deadwood. I mean, dude, there's very little examples that I could think of at the moment that are not deciduous and not conifer that have nice deadwood besides maybe those buttonwoods from tropical areas, you know what I mean? But I don't know, it's fucking hard to find something nice with a little bit of deadwood that ain't a collected juniper. You know what I'm saying?
And it's certainly a different type of deadwood. Now, in terms of you, are you doing club programs if people want you to come and demonstrate on olives or do workshops or stuff?
I mean, yeah, for sure. As long as I know ahead of time, so I can make time, because you know what I'm saying, there's a lot to do.
Well, it's not so. We're gonna get him in trouble with his girlfriend, because that would probably be on a Saturday.
What's the best way for people to get in touch with you or to learn more about what you're working on?
Yeah, you can just hit me up on my Instagram, St. Kyle Bonsai, or Facebook, St. Kyle Bonsai 2.
Or YouTube.
Or YouTube, yeah, I need to get back on that. Yeah, just hit me up on there, and yeah, we need to get this ball rolling, because olives are pretty badass. I feel like if you live in Cali, you should definitely have an olive, just like an oak tree. You know what I'm saying? And maybe just like a California juniper. I don't know if that's the thing about me, but how can I not have something that has the name of my state as its name? You know what I'm saying? California, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like, I don't know. I like I said, you learn over time that you can't grow everything that you would like to in terms of your temperature. So, bro, these species grow mostly well all over Cali. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, like I said, not enough good things to say about them, to be honest. I can't think of nothing bad to say about them.
Well, thanks so much for sharing. I had no better note than that to end on.
Hell yeah. You already know.
Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yep. Thank you both.
The music on today's podcast was brought to you by the fine folks at Blue Dot Sessions. Check them out at www.sessions.blue.